Hello, I'm Amber Stoneberg, and in this session we'll be covering Business Insights Explorer. Explorer views are similar to using the standard inquiry tasks, with additional functions for searching through sets of data, drilling down into supporting detail, and customizing and saving different inquiry views for types of information you need to see on a regular basis. All available Explorer views can be accessed directly from the parent module of Business Insights, as you can see here under Business Insights in the Explorer menu, as well as the specific modules themselves. If you wanted to strictly focus on General Ledger Explorer views, that module has its own Explorer folder. Modules with Explorer folders are contained within General Ledger, Accounts Receivable, Accounts Payable, Inventory Management, Sales Order, Purchase Order, and RMA. Before accessing any Explorer views, keep in mind that information will be populated based on your Windows system date, so it will always be real-time information. Views such as vendor and customer agings will use today's date rather than a date you specify at runtime. We'll start off with opening the Customer view under the Explorer menu of Business Insights. At the top of the window, you'll see your File menu and Formatting toolbars. The File menu will have tasks such as saving settings, which we'll talk about a little bit later, as well as exporting and printing from the views. Your Edit is where we're going to be able to copy and select all rows within a view, as well as editing the columns that we're going to be able to see in each Explorer view. View allows us to turn on and off different toolbars, kind of customizing the way that we see our view screens. Data is going to drive our sorting and our filtering. Previewing allows us to see related information for our customers in this case. Exploring to other views that we have created, defaulting to the standard view, but if we have other saved views, we can also navigate to those from here as well. Tasks menu gives us the ability to navigate to the Mass 90 related tasks. Tools allows us to modify groupings and summaries for those groups. And of course, we have our Help menu. On the left side, you'll see the navigation pane. This includes our preview views, our Explorer views, and our related tasks, very similar to navigating through the File menu as well. We'll go back to the preview. You can see here that as I highlight each main record, which is our customer, any related information down in the secondary pane here will display. Right now we have it selected as Customer Sales History by period. That information will be updated again as we highlight each view. If I'd like to switch in between other views, such as customer contacts, memos, payments, updated invoices, open invoices with balances, and sales orders, for instance. We'll stay on sales orders for a second here. You can see here that for American Business Futures, we have 3 open sales orders for this customer. I can simply just double click. If I'd like to see detailed information for the sales order, I can drill down or double click into the customer record here. And the primary view now becomes the header sales order information along with the supporting information of the detail. Now I can drill down into many different areas and change my views as far as what type of information I'd like to see about this particular customer sales orders. When I'm finished, I can use our web navigation menu to go back to our primary view. If you don't know how many levels you're into, you can always click on the little arrow next to the back button and go right back to the primary customer view just by clicking that. Next, I'll go over how to use the data grid to filter, sort, group, and summarize data. Filtering can be done in different ways. The data menu on the File menu can be used for a shortcut into the filter builder, filtering by selection, turning on and off your filters, or removing filters. The same buttons can be seen on your data toolbar, as well as being able to filter within the view itself. Which way you choose is up to you. We'll start off with using the filter builder inside of the data grid view. And here, if we click on the filter builder, we can now designate a field to filter upon. Now, these are all the available columns that we currently have inside of the view. I can specify only certain salespeople for this particular view. So you select the column, select your operand, and select at least one database value depending on the operand you've chosen. So in this case, if I wanted to see all customers where Jim Kentley is assigned as the default salesperson, I can apply the filter and continue to build upon the filter if I choose to, or just click OK. Now you can see that we're down to 2 records, and as we scroll across, here we have Jim Kentley showing as the salesperson. Now I can remove the filter a couple different ways. Data, Remove Filter shortcut button on the data toolbar. I can also delete the filter from down at the bottom, or go back into the builder and remove row. Many different ways to build and maintain your filters. I'm going to go ahead and click OK, and it will refresh back to all customers. Now I can always see saved filters, or I can begin to select different ones. One other way for you to filter is to filter by selection, which means that I can right-click on any cell inside of the data grid view and filter by selection. If I do it for this case on the division, where division equals 0, 1, this will exclude any other divisions that are not equal to 0, 1. I can remove this filter to see all of them again, as well as filtering based on a particular value, just like we did before, but highlighting Jim Kentley, right-clicking him, and filtering by selection. Finally, when adding filters, I'll go ahead and reset Jim Kentley here for the purposes of the next few tasks. We can always turn on and off filters while still retaining them by clicking the toggle filter. This way we'll be able to see all customers and then all data based on the filters that we have specified. The next thing I'll go over is how to group data. What we'll do is, instead of filtering to just see Jim Kentley, I'm going to remove the filter, but I would like to still group by salesperson. So what I can do is just drag the salesperson column right up into this top blue section here, and this will now create a logical grouping with section breaks per salesperson. To remove a group, you can just drag it off of the grouping section here, and this will set it back to all. Let's just redo that one more time. And now what we can do, if we'd like to, is collapse and expand to see detail or to hide it. In addition to grouping, we can also create subtotals, in this case by salesperson. To do so, we'll want to click on the summary footer icon here, same icon as you see in an application like Excel. And what you'll view is, for any numerical field, you now have the ability to add a summary or an average or other type of subtotal for different columns. For our numerical or currency fields, we can place our cursor inside of the summary field for each column, right-click, and have the option to add a sum to display the minimum or maximum value for this column, a count of the number of records, or an average. We'll go ahead and choose sum. We'll go ahead and do that for all of the numerical fields here. And now we can have subtotals by salesperson for each aging bucket. You can see that as I expand on each salesperson, we'll have our subtotals. After adding the original subtotals, you'll notice that these are report-specific totals. These are going to be for all salespeople. If we'd also like to see subtotals by salesperson, we'll want to move up to the group summary footer here to be able to specify subtotals by our groups. Now by default, these are turned off. So you'll want to move up here and tell it to either A, always show subtotals by salesperson, or B, only when you expand on each salesperson in this case. We're going to go ahead and select always visible for a second. And now if we expand under Ginny Hernandez, scroll down a little bit till you see the end of her records. And now I can also add a subtotal by salesperson. As well as still seeing the report totals. Now, if you'd like to see only visible when group expanded, you will see the subtotals only when you have selected a specific salesperson. Depending on how many groups you have, you will be able to create and maintain summary totals for any group that you have defined for your Explorer view. We'll go ahead and collapse on all of the groups just so we can see a simplified view for the next activity. What I'd like to talk about next is maintaining the columns that you see on the Explorer view itself. Now you may find that a lot of this information isn't necessary for this particular type of view you'd like to maintain. If that is the case, what we can do is go under Edit and Column Settings. Here on the scroll down list, we have all of the available columns for this view. Not all of them are currently selected, but they can be turned on and off for the view. So in this case, if I do not care to see any customers that are on hold, I don't need their extension, and I'm not too concerned with the second and third address fields, I can simply just deselect them. I can also maintain the column headings for each, the available width that will be displayed on the views in case some fields are longer or need to be expanded, as well as changing formats for your text and your numerical fields. If I were to highlight, in this case, a currency or numerical field, I can change the format. I can merge cells together if I'd like to, depending on the format that you'd like to see. Or I can maintain the different formatting options for numeric or currency fields by changing different masking, how currency symbols are going to show, etc. If I don't see a field that I'd like to see on the view, you can always check to see if it's available from another related table that's already linked in for you. So here, if I wanted supporting information about the salesperson, for instance, address line 1, I can simply just add another field from another table. I can delete fields, or I can create custom calculated fields. In this case, if I wanted to show all past due dollar amounts, I can expand under the tables, our customer table, which is our base that we were viewing, and now double click and use our functions such as our plus, minus, division, etc., and add together all of the aging buckets. And we can call this past due. We'll click OK. And that now becomes a field available to us. We might want to format that as well. And we'll just keep the base currency formatting. Click OK. And now this new view becomes available. You can move the order of the fields just by clicking and dragging columns back and forth until you get it the way that you would like it. Also, we'll go ahead and add our subtotals for the new numerical field. And you have yourself a custom view. Now at this point, if you've got it the way that you'd like it and you want to save it, there's a couple different ways for you to do so. You can access the File and Save setting as. If you've made changes to a custom setting that has already been saved, just resave it by selecting the Save setting. You can also save it by clicking on the Save icon here on your toolbar. We'll call this Amber setting. And now I can determine, is this going to be a public to all users who can access the Explorer views, or private only to me? We'll go ahead and save it as a public. And now, when anybody ever accesses the Explorer view for customers, we'll have the standard to choose from, or in this case, a public setting for other users to select from called Amber setting. Now, our last option for the preview pane that I'd like to talk about is being able to either export or print the information that you've maintained in this view. Now, you can move to the File menu again, set up the page as far as margins and the printer setup is concerned, print preview it, or simply just print these records. I can also export to other applications such as Excel all the data that I have in my views. I'm not going to save that. And finally, still under the File menu, I can also send this page by email. This will open up your default email client such as Outlook, which I don't have one here, but this will be able to display what would look like an Excel view of the data, or really just as you see it here, and you'd be able to select the two addresses that you'd like to send to. Finally, the last function to discuss is the charting function. Working from the data currently displayed in the primary data grid here, the chart function will be able to chart any numerical or currency fields, such as your report totals that you have grouped by certain fields. We'll go ahead and create a custom chart here. Designate the chart type that you'd like. We'll keep it at bar here. And now I can select to chart my current balance. By default, you're going to see a chart created off of our report totals. However, I can now change that to be grouped by customer, or again by salesperson if I'd like, and also determine the sorting. This too can be printed, exported, and emailed. Use Explorer views to efficiently and effectively find and analyze data across multiple modules. Experiment with customizing the views for you and your users, and produce impressive reports and charts with just a couple clicks. Thanks for joining me today for Business Insights Explorer. I'm Amber Stoneberg.